In this tutorial, we're going to see how to work sketches in Painter to make a final illustration, or maybe just to add some ideas to make some research, how to use color, how to use different layers with those sketches. I'm just going to kind of brainstorm a little bit, like reacting to the image that I have and looking for alternatives. How can I use it the best way? Okay? And I'm doing this really from the very beginning. So I just got a picture from my sketchbook. I'm clicking and dragging it into Painter. And you can see that there's a lot of information that I don't really need in this sketch for now. And I would like to kind of turn this whole thing and see the quality of the image to know if I can use it. I didn't use a scanner, so I just took my mobile phone, I made a picture of it, and I would like to know if this works. All right, so I'm just turning this picture a little bit because it's not in the right position. So I go to Bearbeiten, Transformieren, Drehen, and here I have to give a degree, so I need 90 degrees. Confirm it. And I'm going to keep the size that I have here, and I'm just going to move this a little bit to the side. Reminding that it's not very good to go too far to the edge with the line, like don't go like this. This wouldn't be nice. It's not a nice way to cut an image. Always have the lines going out of the corner of the image. And I'm checking if I would like to have a little bit more from this end here, because I like when we see the brush strokes, and I'm confirming this. If you would like to have the entire image, then you would just really need to turn the whole image instead of doing the way I did. We can see this later again. So I'm cropping this image because this is not how I would like to have it, and I'm clicking double on the image, and I'm going to check the size of it right now. So going to Arbeitsfläche, Bildgröße einstellen. We can see here that I have a quite large image on the centimeter, but kind of screen resolution. So I'm holding the size of the image, and instead of having 72 pixels per inch, I'm going to 300. And now we can see that we have almost 21 by 21 centimeters is a good size, depending on for what you need it. But if you would need to print it on a book, it's a good page. So I'm going to confirm this. I'm not increasing the size of the image, and I'm going to increase a little bit the sharpness. I have the impression it's a little bit blurry. So going to Effects, Focus. I can go a little bit on Scharfzeichner. And here I would be cautious not to go too far. It can get strange if you go too far with this kind of information. So I'm going a little bit lower. I think it's fine. Let me check the difference. We have here Vorschau. It's really just a nuance. It's not much. And I think this is good. Okay, so now I have this image in the workspace or the work area, and I would like it to leave this place because there I cannot do much with it. So I'm selecting it all by pressing Command A or going to the top bar and saying All. I'm copying it by pressing Command C or Bearbeiten, Kopieren. And I'm pasting it, Bearbeiten anstelle einfügen with Command V. So now I have the same picture twice. We can see here on the layers. And I'm selecting it all from the working area with Command A and backspacing to delete it. So now you can see that my working area is empty of image. Okay, so it's a blank. So we have a few possibilities in Painter to bring up color to a black and white image, and this is something that I really like to be working with because the contrast is more or less there already. So we can, of course, emphasize it, but it's interesting already to be working with something that we're just now working with a color. And the form and as well the whole texture is inside already. So I would recommend you guys to be working with tools that are not texture aware so that you do not get into conflict with what we have here as texture already. So let's get started. I'm opening a new layer, and this layer is going to be on the top from the layer we had before. And I'm going to grab a tool called Airbrush and the variant Detail Airbrush. And I have no idea how this bird used to look like, but at the moment we start painting, you're going to see that since we have the layer on the top of the one before, we're going to be painting on top of it. But I would like to still see what was the drawing. I'm not just wanting to cover it. So I'm changing the quality of the layer, and I'm going to have now Überzug. So we can see that I'm picking up the line and the darkness information from the layer with the color information, and I'm kind of putting them both together. And I can grab a few more colors. And you're going to see that at the moment I start painting, I have the contrast or the darkness that I had before, but now I'm adding color to it. And we still have here on the paper a kind of background color from the paper itself. I didn't transform this into a white background, so we are still using it. This is too bright. Let's have it darker. You can see that it's really nice to be working like this because I'm not really paying much attention if it's really on the right position or if it is exactly on place. The drawing is already so sharp, it's already so presents that I can just be playing around a little bit with the colors. Adding a little bit of the background color here, you can see. The thing is, if you go very large with your brush, you're kind of painting the background as well. If you don't like to have this painted, you would like just to have really more detailed, you can reduce the size of your brush and like this reduce a little bit the area that you're painting on. And I reduce the size of the brush always by pressing Option Command, and I'm going a bit larger. And you can see that the nice kind of stroke that we have through this brush is fully there, and we're just adding color to it. Okay, so this is the first option to be adding color. Another option would be to be using, for example, watercolor, which is a media that is very close to what I used to do the sketch. So I'm getting to the category realistic watercolor, and I'm grabbing, for example, weich rund or soft round. And I'm this time going to make a selection with the lasso tool so that I don't have the watercolor getting everywhere around my illustration. I would like to kind of reduce a little bit the smearing around. Here I kind of selected a little bit too much. We're going to see how to reduce selection. And like this, I'm a little bit more free to be working on this image. So I'm reducing quickly a few areas, and I'm adding a few areas by pressing Shift and Option. So if I press Option, I reduce, and if I press Shift, I add some areas. So like this, it's already good. You can see that I selected this tool, and I must have clicked somewhere here already because a watercolor layer got open. I'm going to the brush. I'm pressing up here pause diffusion, and I'm going to start working a few areas from this illustration, and I'm going to be doing this quite spontaneously. So making some darker areas up down here, and don't be worried about making it a little bit too dark. We can always bring some highlights into it afterwards as well. So I'm adding a nice kind of brown color up here. And the good about watercolor is that you can kind of start adding some, blending some colors. And adding some colors. It's all going to be rendering a little bit later, which is nice. So bring some more darkness in here, adding some more blue, maybe getting some more yellow, greenish yellow. And for the beak. Okay, so at the moment I just blended a whole bunch of colors, and I'm going to start diffusion. Since I stopped it, we can see that the computer is rendering. And for now we have a gel layer. I'm going to turn off the color I had before on the background so you can see how just this or just the other layer would be looking like. We had this before, and I added now this. And putting both together, we have this. Now I would like to bring some highlights into it. So I'm putting my new highlights layer between the watercolor and the airbrush illustration part. And I'm picking up a tool that I like. It's kind of a drawing tool, so it's going to be very close to what I had here before. And the variant Realistic 2B. Did it render till the end? I hope so. And I'm just going to start making some highlights. And before I do that, I'm pressing Command D to deselect the whole stuff. And I'm getting the white color. And I'm starting to draw some highlights in here. Because, like I said before, we don't really have white. So adding white now to this illustration is going to bring up some highlights into it. And I like to be doing some details, but I still like to have the color coming through it. And if you would like just really to have a full white presence in here in this illustration, just really a very strong highlight, we can just open a new layer, bring it to the top. And for example, now we are really using the drawing tool with 100% white. Okay, and then you can start some details. I like the mixture of color and like watercolor and drawing. I think it's really nice. And if you would say, well, now I would really like to have the white background, I don't really want to have this the way it is right now, we can always go to the layer where this image is. We can open a layer mask, and we can, for example, select by pressing Control. I just selected the area outside of the bird, for example. And going to the layer mask, I go to the right image, which is my layer mask. I select the black color, and I could, for example, use Vakshaba as a variant. I have to, of course, do the selection in verse. So auswählen, umkehren. And now I could just, at the moment I go very close to the image, I would really zoom in a lot. So I'm zooming in by pressing Command plus. So we're almost done here. It's nice to be doing some details afterwards. With, for example, this pencil drawing tool. And I'm grabbing some more yellowish and lighter color. And I'm kind of changing the eye a little bit, bring some highlight into it. And grabbing some darker, maybe really the black one. White. Yellow. Sometimes if the illustration does not have too many details, it's interesting to add details to the image in just a few small areas. I hope you understand the power you have in your hands if you have a good sketch. Just check really the size and the resolution if it is okay, so that you're not working on something that is too small. So see how large is the image when you change it into 300 pixels per inch, and have fun. Talk to you in the next tutorial.